Let's look at the usage of general term. General term allows us to find a specific term inside a binomial, inside the expansion here, which means it saves us even more time, right? Then we don't have to expand all the way from the first term to the last term to find a specific term. Okay, so we're going to start with the bare basic first. So this one here, they want specifically the fourth term. So general term, right? You don't even have to memorize the general term because the general term is actually over here. All right. But one thing you need to know about your general term, right, is that when you actually look at the general term, this one is actually n choose r. So n is actually just this number here, right? R is something we need to find. Okay, so I'm going to keep it highlighted. R is something we should always find first. Then after we have A, n minus r, and then B, R accordingly. So A and B will just be my this term or my this term. That means my B can be a minus term. A can also be a minus term, for instance. All right. But before we even jump into starting the question, right, I want you to understand our general term looks like that, which is this is TR plus 1, which means if I want the fourth term, okay, if I want this thing here to be 4, okay, it means that R plus 1 is equals to 4. R is actually equals to 3. So specifically, this is what we want to look at, okay? So for general term, take note, this one is TR plus 1, not like a typical number pattern, which is term n, right? This is R plus 1, okay? So let's look at this one over here. What we're going to do is we're going to expand. So we want our fourth term, okay? So when you want your fourth term, your R is equals to 3, right? So this is 7, choose 3. Okay, my first term is 2, 7 minus 3. This one is x power 3. Okay, so you just need to press your calculator. Let me just use my calculator here, which is 7 choose 3. So we have 7 choose 3. Then multiply by 2 power 7 minus 3. So it's just 560. All right, so we have 560 x power 3. Okay, but obviously our exam questions won't be simple like that, right? So we're going to see a typical exam type. Okay, so this is a more typical exam question. So let's look at the question here. Find the term independent of x. What's the meaning of term independent of x? That means when x increases, this term does not increase. Okay, so it can't be a 5x term. Okay, it can't be a 5x squared term because when x changes, the entire term changes, right? So what we actually want when we talk about term independent of x is actually the constant term. Okay, constant term, which is just a number. So constant term, we're going to look at x power 0. So this is what we want to see. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write for you the general idea how we actually tackle this kind of question. So when we look at step 1, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to do our general term because it's a specific term, right? Okay, you can do the expansion all the way and then you eventually go and find, but it's way too tedious, all right? Especially when there's a fraction, you need to observe when does the x cancel out each other. It's too troublesome already. So we use general term is very, very fast because this is probably like a 2 marks question, 2, 3 maximum, right? So you don't spend more than like 5 minutes on it, right? You should only spend like best case scenario, you just spend about 2 minutes, then you still got time to check. Okay, so the first step is to do the general term. All right, so I'm just going to do the general term first. So general term is highlighted yellow over here. So one thing you need to be extra careful is your A is 2x by a BA. How come it's 1 over 3x, right? Don't worry, we'll split it up later. Okay, so let's do our general term. So you can just put it as TR plus 1. This case, right, is not as complicated. What R new minus 1. Just take it because we're not looking at a specific term number, right? We're not like looking at term, the fourth term, the fifth term. Just looking at the term independent of x. So just leave this as per it is, okay? Then what we have here is that n is 8, right? So 8 choose r. This one will be 2x. Whole thing, 8 minus r. This part here is 1/3 x. Sorry, the x is below, right? So 1 over 3x. Then this one here will just be r. Okay, so no need to memorize the general term. It's given in the formula sheet, okay? Okay, so what we do is, I need to make sure that I can actually see everything easily. So in my step 1 also, I'm going to split into coefficients as well as x term. Okay, coefficients as well as x term. So let me show you how we do that. So this is obviously coefficient because there's no x, right? So I'm going to keep it as 8, choose r over here. Can you see this one will give me coefficient? So this one I will take it as 2, 8 minus r. Where else will give me coefficient? 1/3, correct? So 1/3 power r. Okay, now I'm going to leave a little bit of gap. A dot is just a multiply. Okay, I'm going to do my x term now. So this is my x term, 8x, 8 minus r. This one careful because I'm going to bring it up. In the denominator is x power 1, right? So this is x power negative 1 power r. Can we see how we split that? Okay, so this portion over here, okay, this part over here gives me the coefficient. This part over here gives me the x term. All right. So what do we need to do? After we have split up, right? Okay, my step 2 is to find r. And how do you actually find r? Finding r usually you have to based on the question. Like now, right, they say term independent x, so I want x power 0. Sometimes they say they want the term x power 4. So then you work with x power 4. Okay, so we're just going to take this portion over here and equate it to x power 0 because we want to find out what's r. All right, so here x, 8 minus r, x negative r equals to x power 0. Based on indices, we can combine the power and compare the power. All right, so this part here will be, this is a plus, right? So I combine this one, it becomes 8 minus 2r equals to 0. 2r is actually 8, which gives me r equals to 4. So I want to end up here. Okay, I want to find my r. So how do I find my r? Based on this x terms here. All right. So now that I have found r, right, I can actually go back to find my coefficient. Okay. So you're just going to sub r back into the yellow color portion here because this part gives me my number. So how we do that is, because this part will just become x power 0, so it's just 1, right? So ignore it. This part will just give you x term, that's all. So you find the term here. This is 8, choose 4, 2, 8 minus 4, 1/3 whole thing power 4. See, once you split it up into numbers and x, right? You can just see easily. If you don't split, you need to choose like, which one is x, which one is numbers. Okay, so then after that here will be 8, choose 4, multiply by 2 power 4, then multiply by 1/3 whole thing power 4. Okay, so it's a very ugly number, right? We don't give in three significant figure for binomial, okay? Binomial, we always give in fraction because it's considered as exact, right? So 1120 over 81. All right, so this is how we do our finding our specific term using general term. This is actually a very, very typical exam type question. You see this in O-level, you see this in prelim. So make sure you master this, okay? Make sure you master this. There are many, many more examples for you to try.